2026 broke the rules. There's a Halo game on PlayStation, a James Bond game that's actually good, and a Resident Evil so scary I checked behind my own sofa. 14 new PS5 games all out right now. Ranked from wait for a sale to buy it tonight. I did the homework so you don't waste $70. Let's count them down. Number 14. The Mound, Omen of Cthulhu. Picture this. You and 3 friends sail to a creepy jungle island hundreds of years ago, hunting for a hidden door to a lost underground city. What could possibly go wrong? Oh right, everything. This is a 4-player horror game from SA team, and the scariest enemy isn't the monsters, it's your own brain. There's a sanity system, so the longer you stare at horrible things in the dark, the more your character starts seeing stuff that is not really there. Is there a monster over there? Is it your friend? Grab the treasure and run back to the boat before you find out. When it works, it really works. 4 people screaming at shadows in a jungle is the good kind of scary. But let's be honest, critics landed around 70 out of 100, and I get it. The combat feels like swinging a wet pool noodle. There are bugs, the difficulty spikes are just plain rude. And playing alone? Don't. Just don't. This game was built for a full squad and it refuses to babysit you. So here's the deal. Got 3 friends who love horror? Great weird night playing solo? Keep your money in your pocket and wave at this one from the boat. Number 13. Directive 8020. The Until Dawn people went to space, and honestly it was about time. Here's their setup. Earth is dying, your ship, the Cassiopeia, is racing to a faraway planet to set up a new home for the human race. And something sneaks on board, something that can copy people perfectly. Their face, their voice, their memories. So the scary part isn't a monster jumping out of a vent, it's looking at your crewmate and thinking, wait, is that even you? This is a choice game. You talk, you decide, and people live or die because of what you picked. No pressure. Mess up one conversation and boom, that character is space dust. The story is genuinely great, with real movie star acting from Lashana Lynch, big twists, and a rewind feature that lets you undo your worst mistakes, which trust me you will need. But I have to be straight with you. Between the good parts, the game keeps shoving you into sneak stealth missions. Crouch, hide, wait again and again. By the 5th one, I was begging the alien to just take me. So, if you love scary stories where your choices actually matter, this is an easy yes. If stealth sections make your eyes glaze over, borrow it from a friend first. Number 12. Romeo is a dead man. This one's from Suda51. And if you know that name, you already know what's coming. Beautiful, total nonsense. You play Romeo, a guy who has a horrible accident, comes back half alive and half machine, and gets flung across space and time to find his missing Juliet. Yes, Romeo and Juliet. Except with a katana and shotguns and buckets of glowing monster goop flying everywhere. 1 minute the game looks realistic, the next it turns into a chunky old 8-bit game. Like your PS5 fell into a time machine. You can even collect the monsters you beat and raise them on a little farm, the world's worst petting zoo, then use them as weapons in battle. I am not making any of this up. So what's the catch? The frame rate. Oh boy, the frame rate. Even on a PS5 Pro, big fights chug like the console is running uphill with a backpack full of bricks. Reviewers split right down the middle. Half said brilliant, half said broken mess. And honestly, both are right. Nothing else this year feels remotely like this game, and nothing else stutters quite like it either. Love weird? Buy it. Hate choppy games? Wait for a patch or a sale. Ideally both. Number 11. Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties. This is a full remake of a PlayStation 3 game from 2009, rebuilt so it no longer looks like a potato. You play Kazuma Kiryu, the world's scariest nice guy, a legendary ex-gangster whose only dream is running a tiny orphanage on a sunny beach and keeping a bunch of kids happy. That's it, that's the whole dream. And of course the bad guys will not leave him alone. So he goes back to doing what he does best, politely rearranging people's faces with his bare hands. The fighting feels way smoother than the old version, the story is top tier crime drama, and the side activities are gloriously silly. Then there's Dark Ties, a whole new chapter where for once you play as the villain. That part is genuinely cool. Now the honest bit. Critics landed around 75 out of 100. Some called it the best way to experience this story. Others said the pacing drags like the last class before summer break. Both are true. If you've never played a Yakuza game, this is a solid door into the series. If you finished the original years ago, you already know if your heart needs this beach trip again. Me, small discount, instant buy. Small. Number 10. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tale. Square Enix looked at old school Zelda and said, what if we made that? And you know what? They mostly pulled it off. It's a top-down adventure in that gorgeous HD 2D style, where the whole world looks like a pixel storybook someone left in a sunbeam. You're Elliot, a hero in red with a talking fairy, a sword, bombs, a bow, and a boomerang. Sound familiar? Yeah, the game knows. It's not even embarrassed. The big twist is time travel. You step through magic doorways and explore the same kingdom across 4 different time periods. 1,000 years of history to poke around in like a time traveling tourist with a sword. That part is genuinely clever. The less clever part? This game loves making you walk back through places you've already visited again and again. And plenty of reviewers said the quiet part out loud. Link still does this better, but here's the thing. It's charming, the combat feels snappy, the boss fights are great, and it's exactly the kind of cozy adventure you play under a blanket with a hot drink. It's not a masterpiece, it's a really nice time, and if you've spent your whole PlayStation life jealous of Zelda players, this one is actually worth your money. Number 9. Crimson Desert. This is the biggest, most stuffed open world game of the year. And I mean stuffed like a suitcase someone sat on to close. You play Cliff, a tough mercenary whose crew gets ambushed. He basically dies, then gets brought back by magical beings to save the world. Standard Tuesday, and then the game just hands you a continent. You can brawl with bandits like a medieval John Wick, fly a dragon, fight bosses the size of buildings, cook soup, climb basically anything. The world itself is genuinely incredible. One of the most impressive maps I have ever gotten lost in. Now for the honest part. Cliff has the personality of a wet brick. The story is forgettable. The menus and inventory feel like homework. Some bosses fight dirty in ways that made reviewers want to throw their controllers, and at launch there were bugs. Though credit where it's due, the developers have been patching this thing like crazy ever since. Critics were split, and honestly, both sides make sense. Half of them fell in love with the freedom, the other half got buried under all that stuff. So here's my take. If you play open worlds for the world, this is a feast. If you play for the story, you'll be eating plain soup. Me? I'd rather be lost in Pywell than bored anywhere else. Number 8. Halo. Campaign evolved. Stop. Take a breath. There is a Halo game on a PlayStation. 25 years of console war, and Master Chief just walked through the front door like he owns the place. This is a complete remake of the very first Halo from 2001, rebuilt from scratch in Unreal Engine 5, with brand new missions, 4-player co-op, and a $50 price tag instead of $70. And the shooting still feels fantastic. This is the game that taught shooters how to shoot, and it holds up scarily well. Critics agree. It's sitting around 83 with almost 9 out of 10 reviewers recommending it. So why isn't it higher on my list? Because of how it runs on a regular PS5. In the big battles, the exact moments Halo is famous for, the frame rate can drop so hard it looks like a slideshow. On a PS5 Pro, it's fine. On a base PS5, rough. Oh, and it gets better. The game is always online, and it makes you link your PlayStation account to a Microsoft account before you can even play. Chief buddy, I came here to shoot aliens, not fill out paperwork. So, historic moment? Absolutely. Great game underneath? Yes. But base PS5 owners? Let them patch it first. Number 7. Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Confession time. I walked into this one smirking, ready to call it a cash grab. I walked out eating my words, and they were delicious. This is a full open world Gotham City made of Lego, telling Bruce Wayne's whole story from scared kid to legend, stuffed with jokes and moments from decades of Batman movies, shows, and comics. You play as Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Catwoman, who has a kitten sidekick, which is objectively the best character in the game. The fighting actually feels like the Arkham games, just with a sense of humor. You can drive the cartoon Batmobile around the city, and there's couch co-op, so a parent and a kid, or two grown adults, no judgment, can play the whole thing together. Reviews landed in the mid 80s, and regular players love it even more than the critics do. This is TT Games remembering exactly why everyone fell for Lego games in the first place. One grumpy note, because it's me. The standard game is $70, the deluxe is $90, mostly for costume packs with more paid content coming later. It's Lego. The costumes used to just be in the box, so skip the deluxe, grab the standard, and enjoy one of the easiest recommendations on this entire list. Number 6. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. Ubisoft looked at their most beloved pirate game from 2013, a game most of us already own, and said, hey, what if you bought it again for $60? And here's the annoying part, it kind of works. This is a full remake of Black Flag. You're Edward Kenway, a pirate captain sailing the Caribbean, sinking ships, singing shanties, and hunting treasure. The new version is ridiculously pretty. Storms roll in over the ocean, the sun sets behind your sails, and the whole map flows with no loading breaks. The sailing is still the best in any game. Period. They also rebuilt the combat and sneaking to feel like the newer Assassin's Creed games, which some fans love and some fans think ruin the original flavor. But now let's scrape off the barnacles. At launch, this thing had bugs. Reviewers watched Edward freeze up, float across the ground like a ghost, and saw enemies pop back to life after being very thoroughly dealt with. For a remake whose entire job is polish, that stings. The critics' final word was basically, good game, confusing reason to exist. And me? Look, pirates are fun. If you never played the original, this is an easy yes. If you finished it back in 2013, your memories are still free. Number 5. Mixtape. Alright, this one's different, so stay with me. Mixtape is about three best friends in the late 90s on their very last night together before one of them moves away and adult life splits the group apart forever. That's it. That's the game. You wander through their little town, old photos and trinkets spark memories, and every single memory plays out to a killer song from their homemade mixtape. 28 real licensed tracks. Some memories go completely off the rails in the best way. One moment you're poking around a messy bedroom, the next you're stomping through an abandoned theme park like a 50-foot monster. It's weird. It's beautiful. It made grown critics cry into their keyboards. This thing scored a 94, one of the highest rated games of the entire year, with perfect scores from some of the biggest outlets on the planet. Now, the cynic in me has to say it. There is barely any game in this game. You can't lose, you can't die, there are no real puzzles. A few reviewers called it a pretentious walking simulator, and I understand the complaint. But here's the truth. It lasts one evening and it will make you feel something real, which is more than most $70 blockbusters manage. Play it at night, in one sitting, with headphones. Trust me on this one. Number 4. Pragmata. Capcom announced this game in 2020 and then it vanished for so long that most of us assumed it was quietly cancelled. 6 years later, it finally showed up and somehow it was worth the wait. You play Hugh, an astronaut sent to check on a moon base that's gone silent. Big surprise, the base's AI has gone rogue, the humans are gone, and the only friendly face left is Diana, a little robot girl who can hack machines like a genius. Here's the clever part. Hugh's guns can't hurt the killer robots until Diana hacks them. So you're solving a quick puzzle with one hand while aiming with the other at the same time while a giant robot storms towards your face. No other shooter on the planet feels like this. It sounds stressful, it is stressful, it's also brilliant. And the story of this grumpy space dad and his robot kid, critics compared the energy to a Pixar movie. Grown gaming journalists cried about a robot child. The catch is, it's 10 to 12 hours long, it's pretty linear and the map is useless, but there is zero filler. Every minute counts which is more than I can say for most 100-hour giants. A new idea, real heart, actually finished at launch in 2026. That's basically a miracle. Number 3, 007 First Light. The Hitman people made a James Bond game. That's the pitch. That's also exactly why it works. This is a brand new original Bond story, not a movie tie-in, starring a young James Bond before he earned the license and the ego. And IO Interactive poured everything they learned from Hitman into it. You sneak through gorgeous locations, charm your way past guards, play with ridiculous spy gadgets, and when everything goes wrong, and it will go wrong, it explodes into a full action movie. Critics didn't just like it, they loved it. One reviewer called the opening training sequence the best tutorial they had ever played. And players agreed with their wallets because this thing sold 1.5 million copies in its first 24 hours. Now, the honest part, the driving sections are the weak spot. Bond's car handles like a shopping cart with opinions, and a few missions hold your hand a little too tightly. But here's what I actually respect. This game was supposed to launch in March. The developers delayed it 2 months just to polish it. And it came out finished. No broken launch, no patch it later promises. Imagine that. If you've ever wanted to be Bond instead of just watching him, this is the one. Shaken, stirred, whatever, just play it. Number 2, Saros, a PS5 exclusive from Housemarque, the Returnal people. And if that name means nothing to you, here's the translation. Prepare to die. A lot. On purpose. You play Arjun, an armored enforcer on an alien planet called Carcosa, where a creepy eclipse keeps twisting the entire world into a nightmare. It's a roguelike, which means when you die, the run starts over. But, and this is the big upgrade over Returnal, you keep getting permanently stronger. Every single death buys you something. So instead of throwing your controller, you whisper, okay, one more run, and then suddenly it's 2 in the morning. The screen fills with glowing bullets like the world's angriest fireworks show. You're dodging through the gaps at full speed, and somehow it holds a smooth 60 frames on a base PS5 while looking like one of the prettiest games on the console. And the controller, the rumbles, the clicks, the triggers pushing back, nobody uses the PS5 controller like these developers. Downsides? The story is thin, and even with the training wheels, this game does not hold your hand. Multiple critics called it Housemarque's best game ever, and I'm not going to argue. If you own a PS5 and you like a challenge, this is why you own a PS5. And number 1, Resident Evil Requiem. Come on, was it ever going to be anything else? This is Capcom celebrating 30 years of Resident Evil by doing something sneaky, giving you 2 games in one. For the first half, you're Grace Ashcroft, a nervous FBI analyst who has absolutely no business being in a horror game. She's slow, she's scared, she has like 3 bullets. You spend her chapters hiding, crafting whatever scraps you find, and holding your breath in the dark. It's the scariest this series has been in years. Then the game hands you Leon Kennedy, a man who roundhouse kicks zombies and treats the apocalypse like a Tuesday, and suddenly you're in an action movie. Fear first, firepower second. It's a brilliant 1-2 punch. Oh, and you go back to Raccoon City. Yes, that Raccoon City. Now the no lies part. The story gets messy near the end. A couple of boss fights are duds, and it leans hard on nostalgia. If you skipped the older games, half the wings will fly right past you. But the moment-to-moment game, some critics flat out called it Resident Evil at its finest. And after 30 years of practice, it plays like it. Scariest game of the year. Best game on this list. If you only buy one game from this entire video, it's this one. No hype, no lies, just Requiem. And that's the list. 14 games, and yes, one of the originals got fired mid-research for not actually being playable on PS5. That's the quality control around here. Now it's your turn. Which game are you grabbing first? And which one am I dead wrong about? Write me in the comments, politely. If this video saved you from wasting $70 even once, that subscribe button costs you nothing. No hype, no lies. See you in the next one, assuming the frame rate holds.